Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Punk Yeah Podcast for Hairstylist. I'm your host, Elizabeth Tyndall, and today we are going to be talking about commission versus suite rental. Something that I think has a lot of pros and cons, and it definitely does depend on the person and their drive um, to to do more, I should say. But yeah, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons between being a commission stylist or a suite rental, or you could use this also for like booth rental. And first, I want to say that I have done both. I have worked commission and suite rental. I have never done just a chair rental, so I can't really speak on that. But I did work with a bunch of people who were suite or chair renters, and I feel like they have a lot of similarities to both ends of the spectrum as far as being in a commission salon as just a stylist working for someone or being your own independent person in a suite. So, first thing is going to be definitely managing your business. So if you are in a suite, there are so many things that come into that. You're going to have to worry about your product on hand, your back bar, your retail. You have to do your foils, your tools, all of the things that just come with having a salon. So for me, that's like a lot of things to do and like a huge checklist. So if you are thinking about doing suite rental, it can be a lot at first. So I recommend like definitely making that checklist just so that you're really prepared going into it. But another thing is like on the other side, you get to choose what you do have on hand and what product line you're using. So there is a benefit to that as well. You're not just forced to do whatever the salon is doing. So like if you're in a commission situation at a salon, or if you're hourly, this works for that too. Then if your salon decides, you know what, we're not going to use that color line anymore, you then have to make a complete switch with all of your guests, and you don't have an option to stay behind with the rest unless you decide to rent a chair or go into your own suite. So I think that that is something that is like it's definitely a pro and a con because let me tell you, doing inventory is definitely a lot, but for me it's worth it because I know I get to use the best products on my guests. And then working in a commission salon, all of it is provided to you. So you don't have to stress about what's been ordered, unless you're working for a commission salon who is very bad at ordering, which that happened to me a couple times when I was commissioned. I needed colors that weren't there, so I did have to like kind of improvise and use what I had available, which also is kind of frustrating because you feel like your commission, they should supply everything needed, and they mostly did for the most part. There was just a few random times that I was doing a specialty color and I just didn't have the products on hand that I needed. But I feel like I was really open, and that's the other thing. Like, you need to be open to your management and let them know, hey, I'm doing a lot of these colors. It would be great if we had XYZ, because if you never say anything, nothing will ever change in a commission salon because they don't know what you're thinking. And a general consensus is like, if it's not being used on the back bar, they're not going to order it. And think about if they don't already have it on their shelf, they're never going to order it because it's never being sold. So you really just need to make sure that you are bringing all of that up. And I'm apologizing if you can hear my dog eating in the background. She is kind of loud, but yeah. So that's like the situation with back bar and color. I think for the most part is like you have to either navigate that yourself if you're renting, or you don't get to choose what you use. So you give and you take. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was scheduling. So, scheduling whenever you're renting is all up to you. So, people are constantly texting you, calling you, and you have to set up boundaries for yourself if you're renting so that there's a fine line to where, okay, I'm going to respond to these people between this hour and this hour. And if it's too hard for you, like I personally have a Google Voice phone number that I have set up so that everything goes to a separate folder, and I will only check that folder during the scheduled time. So I don't check like my personal phone texts, like I'll check those because they're all personal. And if I don't want to do it, I don't have to. And as far as my business goes, I make it a point to make sure I'm responding to all those requests in a orderly fashion and in a timely manner. So scheduling can be kind of crazy, but if you are working in a commission salon or you're hourly, then it's really funny because they have receptionists a lot of the time that are not hairstylists, which I get it because if they were a hairstylist, like they would be doing hair, which, or, I just, there's so many different things that kind of happen with that. But if you have a receptionist who knows nothing about hair or scheduling it, they can really mess up your schedule. And having them schedule you things like that are super gapped out. So like you'll have an 8 a.m. and then you won't have anything till 4. And it's like they'll just schedule people wherever in your schedule, where if you are on your own, like you're going to maximize your schedule, you're going to make sure you're booking people back to back, you're not giving yourself huge gaps. And I know some commission salons do let people be in charge of their scheduling, which is nice, but at the same time, then you have more responsibility with that as well. So you're not really getting the benefits of having a receptionist. One of the great things is if you were ever sick or anything, you could have the receptionist reach out and let all your appointments know that you will get back to them. But if you are on your own, you are in charge of that. And I know there's nothing worse than waking up sick and being like, I have to text 20 people today. But I think that it is also great to hear it from the stylist whenever you are canceling appointments or rescheduling if you are ill, because it makes it so much more personable for them. They don't feel like, oh, they had someone else reach out to me, blah, blah, blah. I think that them just getting a message from you personally lets them know, hey, you were thinking about them and you are sick and you will get back to them. Because sometimes when receptionists say that, people don't always get back. The messages get lost in translation. They don't write down who all you had to cancel. So it can be like kind of a headache to reschedule them. But yeah, scheduling for me, I prefer to do it on my own because I know what I'm comfortable doing back to back, and I also don't double book myself. I know some salons, like if you double book, they will just like fill in haircuts in between. But for me, what if I had a color who I know, like, they might do this or this or this, and I don't want them double booked? Well, they might not know that for that particular guest, or they might not read the notes. So there's like a big headache for me that comes into that whenever it comes to scheduling. And that is something that I did not think about whenever I was commissioned. And I didn't realize that I loved scheduling people myself until I was on my own. I realized how much more people I could fit in my day and all this other stuff just because I started maximizing my schedule. So that's something that I prefer in a suite for sure. The back bar, I kind of like the commission, like that I don't have to worry about it. But now that I'm doing, like, I have my own products, I love the products I carry, I get to choose. I really love that. I love the independence that comes with a suite. So I'm a little bit biased. But working in both, I feel like the insight I can give is pretty accurate. The next thing is marketing. So you might work for a salon that gives you great marketing, and that's like something that you really need to look into if you are deciding to go to a commission or an hourly salon or a position. Make sure that you go to a salon that is well marketed and they are constantly trying to get more people in the door, especially if you're trying to build. You don't want to have to stress about that whenever you're working for someone else. Like they should be really providing a lot of um, promotions and they should be featuring your guys' work. Like they should really be trying to get people in the door so that that's less stress on you. As far as like social media goes, you obviously still do need to be active on social media if you want to grow your independent business, but there should be like a constant flow of business and it should not be stagnant. Like you shouldn't be not receiving a new guest for an entire month if you are working for someone's salon. There should be inquiries coming in or at least consultations being scheduled so that you have an opportunity or a window to to get that extra business and to try to build your business. If you are on your own, you do have to do all of that yourself, which for me is fine. I don't mind doing it. I do a lot of things through referrals. So I make little tiny referral cards that I give out, and I only give them to people who I'm like, this is the kind of service I want to keep doing. And I give them these referral cards, and then they send referrals in, and I do a really unique program that I will not get into because it's very in depth. But yeah, I do this referral program, and that's how I get referrals and new business. Whenever I was in a commission salon, my salon didn't do a ton of marketing. We had quite a few walk ins, and that was great. But half the walk ins were not like my ideal client or my ideal guest because I am someone who, like, I was in a certain area and then I decided to move to a really nice area to have a different clientele. And the people who like loved my work and knew that, I could do more, they all followed me, which was great. But overall, you need to make sure that you are starting in an area that is going to have those walk ins that you are looking for, because odds are, if you start in like a very different area from what you're looking for, it's very difficult to build a clientele that is like your dream clientele. So definitely take that into consideration whenever you pick. But being in a suite, I have marketed myself through Facebook, Instagram, Google. I ask for reviews. Like, there's tons of things you can do, but you have to do the work. You can also join like networking groups, which is great. They have virtual ones now, which is even better because I don't have that much time in my schedule anymore to just go and show up places. But they also do have in person networking. And then we'll talk about making your own schedule. So in a commission salon, you obviously do not have very much say on your schedule. You probably are going to be forced to work at least one evening and maybe one weekend day or one weekend a month, which is fine if you are into that. Me personally, not super into working on weekends. So I love the suite because I get to make my own hours and my own schedule. So now I've kind of gotten to the point I only have to work 24 hours a week, which is great. I see all my favorite people. I have a nice full schedule, and I have a great work life balance where I feel like when I was commissioned, I was working a lot more and kind of working harder and not smarter because I had so many hours I had to be there. So I think definitely working in a suite has like changed my perspective on my schedule. I realized how important all my free time is. And I think a lot of people would agree that like they like free time and they don't want to work their entire life. And even though I love what I do for a career, my career I feel like is very mentally taxing. I do a lot of major transformations. I see a lot of guests for several hours at a time, which like can take a toll on you. So I feel like if I work 30 or 40 hours a week, I would mentally not be there by the end of my week. Like, I need to have that 24 to like 28 hours in a week. And I feel like my work is consistent, it's great, and I'm very proud of everything that I create. But whenever I go over that, I find that my work is like getting lost in translation because I'm just so tired, and like mentally like you start to like check out. And I don't like to provide services if I'm mentally checked out. So I just don't go over that as far as my hours go. And the next thing I want to talk about that kind of like goes into that is prices. So, whenever you're working at a commission salon, they set your prices, which is great if you are not confrontational at all and like you're very passive aggressive about things because you don't pick what your prices are. Like, that just is what it is, and you're going to check out with a receptionist. Like, it doesn't see you at all besides in the consultation, obviously, whenever you're quoting them. But excuse me, I am like, my throat feels like weird. I don't know. But yeah, so prices in a salon are great because you don't have to think about anything. However, if you want a price increase, depending on the salon you chose, there might be a leveling system, so you have to wait X amount of time before you can get that. Even if you're fully booked and all the things, like you might have to wait. But if you're at a salon who doesn't have like even a level system, how are you ever going to raise your prices? Like that's a conversation that you need to have whenever you're hired. Like, okay, what if I'm ready to increase my pricing? Am I allowed to do that? What is the price increase? Like, how does that work? Because once you're established as a hairstylist, you're gonna need a price increase just so that you can keep building. And like, we're people too. People get yearly raises. Hairstylists deserve that too. So I don't think that it's something that should be overlooked and not talked about because it is super important. When you're in a suite, you do have to make your own prices, which is something that I was like not prepared for when I came to my suite. I actually price matched the services I was doing at the commission salon. And I'm going to tell you two reasons why that was a bad idea. The first reason is because I'm one person. So the salon that I was at before could sustain their product, like their back bar and everything, because they had so many stylist commission that the revenue was balancing out with their back bar cost. But whenever you take that pricing and apply it to just one person, you cannot sustain a business because of the overhead that comes with the business. So not only did I was I paying for products, foils, retail, all of the things, I was also paying my rent, which was very high. I was at a very nice salon suite when I first started, and yeah, it was the overhead was so high that I was not profiting very much. I was still profiting more than I was like at the commission salon because at the commission salon I was only making 50% commission, which is not a lot, but I have come to learn that that's more than most people are offered. So there's that. But I went from making 50% and then I started getting the full amount. And this is before I had a coach or anything. So I was not fully aware of how I'm supposed to pay taxes and all of that. So yeah, my prices were not set right because one, I was a single person, and two, I did not look at the area around me. So I was severely underpriced for the area I moved to. So if you're in St. Louis, I moved from South County, close to Arnold, like closer to Arnold, all the way out to De Pere, which is a nice area. So De Pere is like the people out there are so much different than down by like South County. And I mean that in like a way that it's just a different price point like for the services out there versus South County. So whenever I moved to De Pere, my haircuts, my men's cuts were $22, and I would look at a neighboring salon and it was like at least 40. And then like my women's haircuts I think were 34 and I couldn't find one for less than 55 in De Pere. And it was like I was so underpriced, which was great because I did get a lot of clients that way. But again, they were not like my dream client. Like I was really striving to get those people who didn't care what the price was. Obviously, I'm not going to price gouge people. I am going to set my prices according to my training, how long I've been doing it, what techniques I know, how efficient I am, what I can provide to you. Like my services are luxury, they are thorough and in depth, and you get a full service every single time. And now my prices reflect that. And it's like the people who I was getting were people looking for a deal in the area I was at. And I don't want someone who's constantly like, well, can I get a discount on that? Can I get a discount? Because for me, it's almost disrespectful for them to constantly ask me for a discount when I know I'm providing a service that is of the quality and the price point that I am asking for. So for me, I needed to definitely, whenever I was moving from a suite to a suite from commission, two things you need to do. One is not use the prices that you were using before because whenever you make the switch, it's very hard to then retell people, hey, by the way, now I'm going to have a price increase later on down the road, versus like, hey, I'm moving to a salon suite. These are my new prices. If you want to come with me, you can. And that way you just know who's going to come with you. And you can just set the bar right there that, hi, I'm going to be offering a luxury experience. This is how it's going to go. And then the second thing is just to make sure that you are surveying the area that you're moving to so that you do not severely undercut your prices and then have the wrong people trying to support your business. But we love support for a business, so definitely that. The next thing is cleaning. Something else I did not really think about. But whenever you're in a salon suite, you clean it every day. You take your own trash out. There's no cleaning services that come into your room. They clean the general areas, but nothing more than that. So you're in charge of doing all of that, which I like. I love knowing that my suite is going to be clean and exactly how I left it. I feel like when I worked commission, there were days people wouldn't clean their color bowls, or some people wouldn't feel like sweeping and all of this other stuff. So sometimes I would walk in and I'm like, man, this is not super clean, which is fine. Everyone has a bad day, but I just like knowing that my salon is going to be exactly the same and very well kept. And my guests are going to walk into a very clean space every single time. So for me, cleaning is a bonus when I have to do it myself. And I don't mind cleaning, I think it's kind of relaxing. And the last thing that I want to talk about is accountability. So if you are thinking about switching to a suite from commission, you have to make sure that you're going to show up and that you're going to hold yourself accountable. A couple examples of this. So let's say, you've got your entire day booked. You have 3 people cancel in the middle, and it's for like a week from now. It is so easy to be like, oh, well, I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm going to go grocery shopping, and I'm going to do this. But that's dedicated work time, right? That you were scheduled that day. So instead of actively trying to fill your schedule, if you just take that time and block it out and you're like, oh, that's personal time now, that's just going to destroy your business. Oh no, my leg is falling asleep. Now, I was sitting crisscross applesauce in a rolly chair, and now my leg is asleep. Hold on one second. That is painful. It is severe. Pins and needles on my whole leg. I don't know what's up with that. Okay. We're just gonna act like it's not asleep and hope for the best. So, anyways, if you have a whole schedule and you're just blocking out time when people cancel and not actively filling those spots, your business is never going to grow. You have to hold yourself accountable for work time. And let's say that you never end up filling those and you actively tried, then you're going to use that time to post on social media, to schedule social media posts, to work on a marketing plan, to restructure pricing, or to think of other ways you can get clients. You're going to be so proactive during that time that you're going to be able to fill those spots the next time it happens, because it does happen. There's one week I had 7 cancellations in one week, and I was like, you know what, this is just a bad week, I'm going to take the L. And then after that, I was fully booked for like 8 weeks straight. And it's like, you have to take the good and the bad whenever you're a suite renter. And the other thing is about accountability is also, it's so easy to call in, right? You're your own boss. You can take as many vacations as you want, which is great, but you need to make sure that you're still putting in the hours you need to sustain your business, and also that you're not calling out on your clients all the time, because there's nothing people hate more than somebody flaking on them, or if they constantly tell them, hey, I need to reschedule you. I can tell you right now, I've only had to call in twice since I've owned a suite and been on my own, because one, I hate doing it. I hate texting people and canceling their appointment because I know they've been looking forward to it for so long. And two, I don't have anywhere else in my schedule that I want to put them because I enjoy my free time. So I'm very strict with my scheduling, and those are dedicated work days. So that's kind of my take on the accountability. If you don't think that you're going to be able to say these are my scheduling times, and really allocate those times to be for work. I don't recommend being on your own. Like, you're just not ready to do that because it is a big step and it is so much responsibility. And remember, if you're commissioned, sometimes they will let you have minimum wage if you don't, if your hour or your commission percentage doesn't meet, um, sorry, if your commission percentage doesn't meet minimum wage, they'll pay you minimum wage. But if you're in a suite, they're never going to pay you ever. Like, you're actually going to owe money that week. Even if you didn't see anyone, you're still going to owe money. So it's just a lot to consider whenever you're thinking about choosing commission versus a suite. So a little recap, commission, you have your back bar provided, your color, everything's in stock. However, you don't get to pick what you carry. Scheduling is usually done by a receptionist, which is, take it how you will, if you like that or not. You don't get to make your own schedule most of the time. You have someone else making that for you. You usually don't get to set your own prices, and price increases are kind of dependent on the salon you work at. Cleaning is usually done as a group at the end of the night. And accountability, you can call in or you cannot. Either one is fine. You might get paid hourly, so you're still going to get a check sometimes, but yeah, I recommend that, you're not going to have a set schedule in a suite. So, or like, you're not going to have someone setting your schedule in a suite, so it's way easier to kind of derail on the accountability. Okay, we are back. I'm so sorry about that weird cut that's gonna have to happen. My son had to go to the bathroom, so I had to take care of business. But anyways, following up on our recap of a suite, you have to do your own marketing, which is going to include social media, ads, networking, all of that. As far as back bar goes, you're going to be in charge of purchasing all of that and supplying retail. But on the bonus side, you do get to select everything that you're offering to your guests. You can really pick the best products for them, which is great. As far as scheduling goes, that is up to you. So you might be contacted at several hours, but just know you can really maximize your own schedule and have a real grasp on that aspect of your business. As far as making your hours go, you get to make your own schedule. You can be there as much or as little as you need to be. And I love that. You can take vacation and really prioritize things in your life that are super important as long as you have a set system in place with scheduling. Prices, you do get to set your own prices, but again, if you are not one that's very upfront, that can be kind of daunting and very scary. But it is a conversation that's normal and it needs to happen, and you should always let your guests know of a price increase if you're going to have one, and really just set them up for success with that. As far as cleaning goes, you clean your own suite, which is great because no one's going to touch your stuff. So I personally love that. I hate when people are rearranging my things or not cleaning things properly. And then accountability, you have to be so accountable whenever you are working in a suite. It's up to you to show up, and you only. Nobody else cares if you show up other than your guest. You might lose them very quickly if you are calling out all the time, especially whenever you are working on your own. The other thing I wanted to say is the privacy you get in a suite is very nice, but if you're one of those people who bounces ideas off people a lot, maybe working in a standard salon is a better option for you. So, I hope you enjoyed this little take on commission versus suite, some of the main things that I feel like need to be taken into consideration when selecting what you want to do. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. If you didn't, let me know what else you want to hear me talk about. And potentially, our guest, I have one scheduled that we will be recording. So I do have that finally set up. Yay. And I have a couple more as well that I'm working on getting scheduled. So yeah, we will see you next time, and have a great week creating and doing hair and being awesome. So yeah, yeah. I'll see you guys next week.